Hello and welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. It has been some time now, viewers, since the BJP has achieved its objective of having a Congress-mukt Northeast. That is actually quite an achievement because the region has been a Congress bastion till 2015. One after another, the Congress governments fell and the BJP, either on its own strength or in collaboration with its allies, filled in and replaced the Congress governments. Assam, Tripura, Manipur, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh are examples. The Saffron Party, that was once viewed with a lot of apprehension in several states of the region, gradually turned into a mainstream political party in most parts of the Northeast. Of late, the BJP clearly appears to have adopted a strategy to further consolidate its position in the region. There are two major indications to this effect. One is the appointment of high-profile BJP national spokespersons as party in charges in states like Manipur, Nagaland and Meghalaya, putting the suave Jai Panda and National Vice President as the in charge in Assam, and inducting party leaders from Northeast in high-profile BJP organizational posts at a national level. For instance, Sambit Patra, the vocal and articulate BJP national spokesman, is the new party in charge in Manipur, while another media-savvy national spokesperson, Nalin Kohli, is the party in charge in Nagaland. National Vice President Dr. M. Chuba Ao again has been made party in charge in Meghalaya, and of course, from Nagaland, Mmhonlumo Kikon has first made the national spokesperson and of course have been put in charge of Mizoram as well as the party in charge. Again, from Assam, the BJP picked up Lok Sabha MP Dilip Saikia and made him a general secretary, the first from Assam to hold such a post in the BJP. Then of course, there is the overarching figure of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, who as the convener of the BJP floated Northeast Democratic Alliance is the bridge between the party's Northeast units, its allies and the BJP central leadership. Yes, it is clear the BJP has its eyes fixed on the Northeast. To discuss the growth and consolidation of the BJP in the region and the road ahead, I have an esteemed panel tonight. BJP in charge in Nagaland and party's national spokesperson Nalin Kohli joining me from New Delhi. I have with me live from New Delhi Rajat Sethi, advisor to Manipur Chief Minister and a political strategist. From Aizawl, I am joined by Mmhonlumo Kikon, Nagaland BJP MLA and national spokesperson, apart from of course being the party in charge in Mizoram. From Imphal, I am joined by S. Nongpoknganba, Meitei, spokesperson BJP Manipur. And from Shillong, I am joined by Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, professor at NEHU and a commentator. Gentlemen, welcome to Noticed Tonight. First, let me go straight to you. Mr. Rajat Sethi in New Delhi. Mr. Rajat Sethi, you know the Northeast quite a bit. You were here in Assam before the 2016 elections. You have traveled the entire region. Then you focused on the other states of the northeastern region. You are now the advisor to the Manipur Chief Minister. Apart from having your own understanding, you have authored a book on Assam that gave quite a nuanced perspective of the state and its politics. Now my question to you, first of all, Rajat, a party that was viewed with so much of apprehensions until a few years ago has now come to be easily accepted. The transformation has been smooth, and today there is no one can say without much of a hesitation that BJP is as much a mainstream political party in the Northeast as any other party. Rajat.
Thank you, Wasbir, for having me on this show. First of all, I just want to thank all the people of the Northeast that I've been working with for the past 5 years in various political capacities in various states of the Northeast region. I have realized one thing, that over the time, over several decades, the incumbent parties led by the Congress party tried to bring in a level of despondency, a level of status quoism in the politics and the governance of the region. They thought that nothing can be done about this region will remain backward, and they had given up on that. All they did was had a very transactional relationship with the central government, that you give us this funds and we are going to put up some buildings here and there and not look at the holistic development. But what changed in 2014 was the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and the kind of primacy that he gave to this region. He said that if India has to develop, the northeast part of our region has to develop first. And he gave us the mantra of Act East, and he said that the Ashtalakshmi have to perform and develop on all parameters that are measured. I think once in Assam, that became a test case. Assam BJP did really well and then ushered in rapid response, rapid amount of development in a very short span. That became an example for the other state BJP units to portray to their people that, see, this is what BJP can do. This is how the BJP can actually transform the region. And every single state thought of experimenting with the BJP. Remember, be it Manipur, be it Assam, be it Tripura,
Right.
most of them have had 2 decades of their incumbent governments. 15 years in Assam of Tarun Gogoi, 15 years of Manipur Congress government led by Ibobi, similarly by Manik Sarkar for 25 odd years in Tripura. So people had thoroughly tried and tested these incumbent parties, and they thought that this is the time they want to try something new. Now the trial went really well, and the kind of developmental
Right.
results
Rajat,
that have been shown is phenomenal.
We will we'll expand on these very significant points made by Rajat Sethi there, who knows the Northeast quite well now. Let me turn to Mr. Mmhonlumo Kikon before coming to Mr. Nongpoknganba in Imphal. Mr. Mmhonlumo Kikon, you have been elevated as the national spokesperson of the BJP. This is something which is definitely a recognition of party leaders from the northeastern region. Dr. Chuba Ao has been made the national vice president. Mr. Dilip Saikia has been made the national general secretary of the BJP. Now my question is, what do you make of it? I've just lost a line there to Mmhonlumo Kikon. I'll come back to him. Let me turn to Imphal. Okay, he's back with us. Mmhonlumo Kikon, if you have heard my question, what does this indicate? The central leadership of the BJP attaching so much of importance to the northeastern region. How do you look at it?
From the very moment of independence, you would see that the Congress government has neglected the northeastern region. They've looked at it as peripheral area, as some place in outer space where they'll just go when it's needed. They don't know the internal complexities towards it. Any issue there from the region is looked at as a foreign issue, as something which is a minor irritant and which will be looked into at a later stage, prioritizing the rest of other parts of India. But if you look at me or even Dr. Chuba, a humble party worker, a Karyakarta, has been chosen to represent the party at the national level. And never happened in the Congress. If you would see, the Congress has never given priority to leadership from the Northeast. They would always want somebody who's a puppet in the region to control. And that's why you saw and you have seen that in the past, many Congress leaders, upcoming leaders, have left the Congress because they were fed up with the likes of, C.P. Joshi, who was Speaker in Rajasthan, government, or even Narayan Swamy, who was Chief Minister of Pondicherry, who came as overlords and lorded over our political leadership here. This is an internal issue. Remember, in the 10 years of the UPA government, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh came not even once to Nagaland state. So it is just representative of their mindset, of the importance and interest they pay to the region.
Okay.
So with that kind of attitude, how do you expect people to respond and react to the Congress party? So definitely, BJP is a party with difference. It recognizes the importance of the region. On the very first year of its election as to the government and also as the Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji came to Nagaland, and during the Hornbill Festival, he declared that now we will no longer look east, we will act east, and therefore he changed even that. He coined the new term act east.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. Okay, hold your thoughts, Mmhonlumo. I'm coming back to you once again. Let me quickly go to Mr. Nongpoknganba, the BJP spokesman from Imphal, Manipur BJP spokesperson. Mr. Meitei, you know, 15 years, as Mr. Rajat Sethi has said in his opening remarks, 15 years of Congress rule. Then suddenly you see the BJP making inroads, and today you have a BJP government, and people from other political parties have no hesitation in coming and joining the BJP. Now, this transformation, what are some of the main reasons for this transformation? Okay, people wanted a change, but is it as simple as people wanting a change, or there is something more to it?
I believe there is something more to that, in the sense that if we look to what our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said, he has given some statements which has a lot of focus on the Northeast. So this statement which he has made regarding Northeast, I think it has changed the very scenario here. If I can make out some points, what he has said in some of the statements is that Northeast development and prosperity is always the priority of Modi government. Now, we should have a better connectivity in the Northeast. These are essentials for security. Now, he has also said in Thailand, in Bangkok, before in India diaspora, he has said Northeast will be the gateway to Southeast Asia. And also he has said that without development of the Northeast, India cannot move forward.
Right.
So such kind of statements that the Honorable Prime Minister has made, this is the importance that has been given by the Honorable Prime Minister to the Northeast, of course to Manipur also. This kind of statements, this kinds of statements which makes us believe that India can move forward only with the development of Northeast. So this kind of statement has convinced that with the people in Northeast will be better with BJP only. So this change of thought, I should say, among the people has made us, has enabled our party to make inroads in the Northeast.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Meitei. Let me go to Professor Prasenjit Biswas before turning once again to Mr. Rajat Sethi in New Delhi. Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, do you have a contrary view? How do you look at the issue critically? Because the BJP seems to have done a few things right, because of which they have come to be accepted in the northeastern region, if I may use the word. But point is, BJP is no one can deny that the party is attaching a lot of importance to the region. What is the message you think they are trying to send out by appointing high-profile national spokespersons as party in charges and picking up young leaders from the region and giving them a national profile? Prasenjit.
Right. The young leaders who are given this national profile are exposed to the national politics so that they can learn from the national mainstream. Now you see there is a conflict here in the Northeast between the mainstream and the ethnic, tribal and community way of life in the Northeast. So whether mainstream politics will occupy a larger space in the ethnic spaces of Northeast, or ethnic politics needs to be carried out in the context of Northeast, remains as a major political dilemma. Now bringing some mainstream political leaders like J. Panda and Shambhit Patra creates a space for a greater articulation of the national interest, and also will widen the horizon of ethnic politics to join the mainstream issues of politics and economics which are arising in the Northeast. Therefore, mainstream versus periphery, this conflict is handled pretty well by bringing mainstream leaders in Northeast and Northeastern leaders important ones to the national stage.
Okay.
Now this politics of inclusion and accommodation, this politics of including Northeast in a vigorous way in the mainstream politics is something that BJP has done pretty well, and this is going to yield electoral success for the BJP as well.
Okay. Rajat, Sethi, BJP seems to be, working to a plan, as I said in the beginning of the show, the first target was, of course, achieving a Congress-Mukt Northeast, because this was a Congress bastion until 2015, not long ago. Then after defeating or ousting the Congress from the ruling party status in the northeastern states, the BJP is consolidating. That means the BJP seems to be clearly working to a plan.
Modi and our Home Minister Shri Amit Shah ji, both of them work. They work on a different tangent altogether. They just don't focus upon certain certain developmental projects here and there and get done with it. They have a strategic approach, and this is where the difference comes in. They've realized that Northeast has actually been held back because of a lot of endemic issues which have bothered it for a very long time. You are sitting in Assam, Wasbir. You know how the Bodo issue, the recent the NDFP and all the other organizations which were in talk with the central government for a very, very long time. Finally, they could seal a deal with the central government and come back to peace. Similarly, we also know that several leaders belonging to the ULFA also have surrendered and have joined the mainstream. Similarly, it is true with IM. We all know about the framework agreement in its last phase. That issue will also be addressed very soon under the leadership of Prime Minister. Similarly, in Manipur also, ILP was a serious issue. Genuinely, Manipur, the Meitei population and the Valley population felt that the entire state should be brought under inner line permit protection because of this micro-minority nature of its population. That was given in an instance without much of a struggle from the people. Remember that Manipuris have been struggling for ILP for the past 20 years, and Congress never paid attention to it. See, all of these solutions were not very difficult, but nobody was putting a strategic interest into this region. And this is where BJP thought that not just the developmental aspects, but also these endemic things which are holding back the region, not allowing them to come to and join the mainstream, have been addressed. And this is the reason why you will see that BJP will continue in power for a very, very long period of time.
Okay, significant statement. Once again, I am now joined from New Delhi by Mr. Nalin Kohli, a BJP national spokesperson, Supreme Court lawyer, and of course the BJP's in charge in the state of Nagaland. Mr. Nalin Kohli, welcome once again to Northeast Tonight.
Nice to be back on your show, Wasbir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kohli, what we have been discussing is that there is a sense one is getting a sense that the BJP is consolidating its hold on the northeastern region, not remaining content with the fact that, they had ousted the main rival Congress from state after state. And last couple of weeks, people like you, Sambit Patra, Jay Panda, and others have been appointed in charges of the party in the state in the region. What does this indicate in your view?
The BJP as a party has always been committed to the Northeast. If you will recall, Atalji as Prime Minister had created a separate Department of Northeast Affairs. He had even created a Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And infrastructure development had started in that period in a focused manner. Under Prime Minister Modi, that has been expanded manifold. Ministers have come and spent nights in the Northeast. I remember between 2014 and 2019, more than 115 nights, different cabinet ministers and senior people had come spend the night in the Northeast to take decisions while on the ground. Infrastructure's got an even greater boost. And under Prime Minister Modi, from a look east, it has become act east. It's just not looking, but we have to develop it. And this is a great growth engine in that sense. Finally, politically, the party has been reaching out on a positive agenda of change. And across the Northeast, there are either BJP governments or NDA governments in which the BJP is a party. And I think in that context, you have to note the important role played by Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma as chairman of the NEDA, the Northeast Development body that has been made, which is a huge body to bring together all political parties to come discuss a developmental and a vision, an agenda and a vision for the Northeast. And Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has done enormous work in this to build these bridges and consolidate it even more.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Nalin Kohli, Northeast has been a Congress stronghold, as I have been saying, till 2015. BJP's objective has been achieved. But it seems that you are trying farther to consolidate the stranglehold rather.
Certainly. And as I mentioned, under the vision of Prime Minister Modi, the Act East policy is to make the Northeast engine of enormous growth. Simultaneously, by bringing more and more Northeast leaders into the national team, sending leaders from the national team to work in the Northeast, it is a matter of building that vision in sync with what the government is doing, what the party under Naddaji is doing, the government under Prime Minister Modi, the party under Naddaji, and then all of us working together to ensure that the Northeast becomes this engine of growth that it deserves to be. It's a beautiful part of the country, lovely people. It's great diversity, and one of my favorite phrases is that you must look at the Northeast as a rainforest. Every inch or every square kilometer of the Northeast is diverse and different. There is great natural as well as ethnic, as well as identities, as well as culture, as well as social, as well as economic diversity. And all of it is beautiful in its own way.
I will have to let Nalin Kohli go, but before that, I'll quickly ask one or two questions at the most. Mr. Kohli, 25 seats only in the Lok Sabha, yet so much of focus. Many are asking this question.
This is not a numbers game. This is a commitment to bring the politics of development and positivity to the Northeast. That's the message of the government under Prime Minister Modi, and that's the message of the party under Naddaji, and that's the message of NEDA, which is chaired by Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma.
Right. And what about the regional allies? Are you going to give any credit to your regional allies? Do you think BJP would have been able to consolidate its hold in the Northeast without its regional allies? This is my last question to you.
Of course, every party is important. Every partner of ours is important. We respect them. We may have separate parties and personal political agendas. However, we are all common in our vision to work together for the betterment of the people of whichever state where we are in government.
All right, Mr. Nalin Kohli there. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to me on Northeast tonight. I'll have to take a break, but before that, very quickly, let me go once again to Mr. Nongpoknganba Meitei in Imphal. Mr. Meitei, you know, I was asking this question, regional allies. Now, you are leading a BJP government in Manipur, no doubt, but when you started, you depended entirely on parties like the NPP and Naga People's Front and a few other independents. So, my question stands the same question. What kind of an importance is your party attaching to the regional allies? Suppose you have the numbers, are you going to still work with your allies, or we will no longer need them?
Obviously, even if we have the numbers, we will obviously go with, that is what we call as coalition dharma. In our parlance, we call it coalition dharma. We will always keep the coalition dharma. Whether we got the numbers, whether we are more than what we require, even then, we will go along with the other parties, because they are the parties who have supported us at the very start of the making of the government. So, since they have helped us in the very beginning, obviously we have to keep our coalition dharma. So, there is no reason to come out, to kick them out at this point of time just because we have got the required numbers, or we have more than the required number. I think as our Sir Nalin Kohli has said, we always respect other parties, big or small. That is not the issue, but they are a party, and we are committed to the philosophy which we call as coalition dharma. So
Absolutely.
abiding that particular dharma, we have to go with that, even we have the required number.
On that note, I'll go for a short break. Don't go away. When I come back, I'll go to Rajat Sethi in New Delhi, Mmhonlumo, Kikon, Dr. Prasenjit Biswas for more on the other side. Welcome back. Mmhonlumo Kikon, you are a leader from Nagaland. There was so much of apprehension, not just in Nagaland, in Mizoram, in other places, Meghalaya, that, BJP, they were not familiar with the party until recently. Although the BJP was a player from a very long time in the northeastern region, but now suddenly this apprehension is long gone. What is the cause for this transformation? Okay, you have given one reason, the policies of the Prime Minister, policies of the party, the focus on the Northeast. But other than that, what do you think, what are the attributes? What do you call the main reasons for this transformation?
Wasbir, the BJP is a party which is which has its ears on the
How
ground.
did you remove the fears? How did you remove the apprehension? Talk on that, please.
Yeah, I mean, you would see the shift from a stepmotherly treatment to a party which works for you. So the shift is very clear. People took to BJP like fish take to water. And therefore, the acceptance of BJP as a party which works for your people, which brings development at your doorstep, which ensures that people get the money meant for them at their bank account. And this is like some of the policies and schemes which the Prime Minister has initiated and which have been appreciated by people over time because they have seen with their own eyes how it works for all of them, like rain and sunshine which falls on everyone. Development which sends from Delhi reaches everyone.
Okay, that is an interesting way of putting it. Mr. Rajat Sethi, Mr. Rajat Sethi, if we broaden the discussion a little bit, you see, Northeast is a very strategically located, the only ASEAN nation to have a land border, that is Myanmar. We have a connection through the Northeast. We have a link through the Northeast. Manipur has a direct link with Myanmar, only ASEAN nation to have a land border. We have the SAARC. So, all the major regional groupings, so Northeast is extremely strategically located. And as the Prime Minister Modi's government, we have seen the transformation, as a lot of us have been talking, transformation from Look East to Act East. Do you think that is also one of the reasons why the BJP is attaching so much of importance to consolidate itself in the northeastern region?
So purely from a geostrategic standpoint, Wasbir, I think Northeast, which is surrounded by 5 different countries, there is very few regions within our country which is actually has this much of geostrategic import like the Northeast has. It shares land borders, I mean, largely speaking, with Nepal on one side, China on one side, Myanmar, then of course we have Bangladesh, Bhutan. So there are these many countries, and these are some of the one of the most densely populated regions in the whole world, and therefore there are markets, there are avenues where the local produce of the Northeast region can actually be sold in our neighboring countries. Looking at all of this, and of course the access to the Far East or the Greater East that it is called, which includes the ASEAN region, but also includes Korea and Japan. Bring in a lot of interest from the central government that focusing on the Northeast and decoupling all our focus on the western borders of India and focusing more on the eastern borders can actually yield a lot of rich dividends. And I can show you a few examples. For instance, our relationship with Myanmar has resulted in trilateral highways which connects India, which starts, this trilateral highway starts from Manipur, goes through the More into Myanmar and reaches all the way to Thailand and Cambodia. We also know two Asian highways, the Asian Highway 1 and Asian Highway 2. Both of them crisscross through the northeast region of India. So you can imagine that there will be highways in the future which will connect all the way with Europe on one side, to Indonesia on the other side, and Japan on one side, and perhaps some African nation on the other side. That's how the Asian highways are being conceptualized, keeping all of this in mind, and also looking at areas like Tripura, for instance. I was pretty surprised that a small town called Sabroom in Tripura, can actually become such a big hub because it is just 50 kilometers from the port in Bangladesh. And India is focusing on that. Can we actually build a bridge, a 50-kilometer long bridge, which takes us straight to the port and give us an access? And having friendly relations with Bangladesh has actually helped us in doing that. Look at the land ports. India, the current central government under Prime Minister Modi opened up so many land ports and created a land port authority, a Khawra border on Tripura and Bangladesh. Similarly, the More land port between Myanmar and Manipur, all of them are doing phenomenal well in terms of the trade. In Akhora border itself, you are having 1,000 crore rupees of trade every single day. Similarly, I'm sure about Doki in Meghalaya and other border towns on Bangladesh side are doing phenomenally well in terms of integrating the region and using the potential, the economic potential of this region, which were so far hitherto not even imagined by the leadership. And this is where I think BJP is bringing an X factor, and it is resulting in the overall well-being of the people. I'll tell you one small instance. In 2015, when I came to the Northeast, this was the first time when I had stepped foot on that region. And I remember the GS road in Guwahati. There used to be a few shops here and there, and getting a nice place to eat and dine back in 2015 used to be a little rare. Now you go on GS road, virtually you will see every single brand possible, every single shops there. I have seen development right in front of my eyes, that in the past 5 years, this is how development has happened. One more small instance that I'll give about Manipur. Manipur, I remember under Ibobi days when I was campaigning for the BJP over there, at 6 o'clock, if you couldn't even have the courage to step out on the streets, there used to be tires burning here and there. There used to be bunds and blockades. How will people develop economically? How will they grow without having proper law and order? There were blockades to the tune of around 150 days in 1 year. That's the degree of shutdowns that we used to have in the state. And since past 4 years of the Chief Minister in Biren Singh, we haven't seen even a single day of band or a blockade in that region. This is not a small development. This requires massive amount of effort and massive amounts of winning the confidence of every single small or big community in
winning the confidence, that has been one of the key. Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, Northeast strategic location, one of the prime movers for the BJP to focus its attention so closely in this region of 45 million people, shares borders with five countries.
Yes, I mean, sharing border is certainly a boon for developing the economy. But as far as politics of the region is concerned, there are so many political groups, so many ethnic stakeholders. How these ethnic stakeholders should be accommodated within the institutional structure, be it economic institution, be it political institution, is a major challenge. So internally, the diverse region cannot be homogenized by a single stroke of the brush of an economic investment or a grand scheme of economic development. Therefore, one has to be really focused on building up the local capabilities. The local resources have to be transformed into local industries, local agriculture, local manpower development, for which a lot of localization work is required. Once BJP takes up such an agenda of localization, there will be greater sensitivity towards water, towards minerals, towards forest, and towards other resources, much of which are getting depleted because of the trade factor. Things are getting traded easily and therefore resulting into a massive depletion of natural resources of the Northeast India. And this is affecting the livelihood of the ordinary people. So I would like BJP to focus on these livelihood parameters of the ecosystem, which needs to be preserved to keep the diversity intact and to represent them in a better way at the central government level, at the state government level, at the local institutional
Absolutely,
level. This
absolutely.
work,
Very well said,
if
Prasenjit.
it could be done, that will transform the region into what Rajat has been saying in terms of border trade and all that. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. N. Meitei in Imphal, Mr. Meitei, you know, in the last by-election, out of in the 5 seats that you had the by-election, the BJP won 4 of them. Now, my point is, the point which I am making is that, you know, is it the fact that people generally vote for the party in power? What are you doing to win the trust, basically, because elections are coming? These are only the by-elections. This is a semi-final. You are going to face an election. Now, what are some of the 3 points, if you can highlight, as to why the people you think are accepting the BJP, if we take the by-election as an indicator?
See, why people are accepting BJP? One reason is that we are delivering what the people are wanting. Because see, even Manipur itself, a small state, no doubt, but is a kind of miniature India, with so many tribal communities, and apart from Meitei and Meitei Pangals.
Yes.
What we want is development. That is one thing. And we are being, but the government is delivering what the people are wanting, development, because. So there is a basic reason why people are voting for the BJP.
All right. Now,
Second thing is,
yeah,
this government is this government is bringing a new form of governance. What we say, we have discovered some new innovative ideas of governance, making the CM directly meeting the people. Earlier, this was unthinkable. Even entering the CM's bungalow was unthinkable. During the Congress, you must have known, even the ministers, cabinet ministers, MLAs, they have a hard time meeting the CM. But after the BJP governments come into power, we have discovered, we have invented such innovative ideas like Hill Leaders Days, People's Days, so that all the people, all the common people can come to the CM's bungalows,
right,
talk to him directly.
Yeah. Hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts.
See,
Mr.
these are some
Meitei.
innovative ideas which has been discovered.
Hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts. I'll come back to you, Mr. Rajat Sethi. You know, do you now, looking back, think immediately after the Assam victory that ended the 15-year-old Congress rule, the BJP came out with almost a master stroke by floating what is called the NEDA, Northeast Democratic Alliance, and putting a dynamic leader like Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma in charge of that. My question is, how effective do you think NEDA also has played a very big role in stitching up alliances, in keeping existing alliances together, and in acting as a bridge between the BJP at the state and regional level and the national and the central leadership?
Yes, I think Wasbir Zada, with the leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, NEDA has really evolved as an organization, as an institution, as a subsidiary of the NDA. NDA, which is a top decision-making body of the coalition government at the center and at various state government level, usually deals at broad level topics, etc. But at times, what used to happen was that, given that how many small regional parties we have in the Northeast region, it became very difficult to table certain issues at those platforms, and therefore NEDA was created with the whole focus that grievances of our coalition partners can actually be redressed immediately. And with the dynamic leadership of Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, this was actually made feasible. I know that there were several, when you form coalition governments, be it in Tripura or in Manipur or in Nagaland or in Arunachal Pradesh, everywhere you have frictions. When you're forming governments together, there are a lot of back and forth negotiations that one has to do. NEDA as an institution and the empowerment that this institution was given by the leadership of then Party President Amit Shah and now JP Nadda ji, both of them have really given significance to it. And what has happened because of it is that issues that rise up in this region get redressed in a very short span of time. Earlier, most of the leaders of the Congress party had to queue up outside Sonia Gandhi's residence for several months in order to even get a simple audience of 5 minutes with her. That kind of, the communication gap that was there between the regional leadership and the central leadership became the principal sore point of why Congress was not able to deliver anything on the ground, either on the law and order front or on the developmental front.
Absolutely.
When you create smaller organizations closer to the hearts and minds of our coalition partners, that does all the magic. And with Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma at the helm of the affairs, I'm sure this institution will deliver what is expected of it.
Mr. Rajat Sethi, at this point, I'd like to thank you very much for being on the program. Let me turn to you, Mr. Kikon. Mr. Kikon, personally to you, what does your elevation as a national spokesperson mean? What is the message that your party central leaders, according in your own words, could be trying to send out by making young leaders like you in such giving you a national profile?
I mean, the first impression that everybody gets is that during the Congress regime, there's been no prominent face from the Northeast in the national level. But today we have Dr. Chuba as the Vice President of a major and biggest and the largest national party in the country. So it itself signifies importance that the BJP gives to leaders of every region, not just the Northeast. So in terms of representation, in terms of ensuring that people of all regions have their voices heard at the highest decision-making level, itself is a big message to the country, because it enables and ensures that the voices of every region, whether large or small, is heard, is respected, and is also listened to. So that is very important.
Now, Mr. Kikon,
Yes.
You know, people like you have a huge responsibility if you look into Nagaland, because the primary focus of the BJP now is development, infrastructure, and progress. These are the three main hallmarks of the BJP's focus in the countrywide, nationally. Now, as a BJP leader from Nagaland, can you assure the viewers today that you will work hard to boost infrastructure in Nagaland, because the road conditions are pretty miserable, and it has been several years since independence, more than 7 decades now?
You must recall that in 2003, Prime Minister, can you hear me?
Yes, carry on.
Yeah, in 2003, Prime Minister Wasbir had visited Nagaland and had assured that the road from, for instance, giving you one example, the road from Kohima to Dimapur will be built. A 4-lane highway will be built. But after the BJP lost power at the center, the UPA came into power. For 10 years, they were sitting on that project. And likewise, in the entire Northeast, if you see, a new special purpose vehicle has come into being, the NHIDCL, which will look into roads in all the states, and which has been building and constructing roads in all the states. There are some definitely challenges of terrain, because in hill states, landslides are heavy and all that. So a project which will take 1 year will take more than a year.
Absolutely.
So there are definitely challenges to that end, but the purpose and also the objective of the party has been shown and demonstrated by the fact that more than lakh crore has been sanctioned through NHIDCL for road constructions in the entire northeastern region.
Right.
So data speaks.
Data speaks. Okay.
For the party.
Okay.
And then priority has been given. It is already shown. People have seen. The only disconnect is that the construction time is taking longer than expected.
Okay, I'm running completely short of time. Mr. Meitei in Imphal, do you agree that the BJP has a lot of responsibility and you have to act and perform to win or to keep this trust the people have vested on the party? You have to work hard. Do you agree on that?
Yes, we do agree with that, and we will really work hard so that the faith that has been reposed on us can be made. We will really do that.
All right. On that assurance, let me turn to Dr. Prasenjit Biswas. Dr. Prasenjit Biswas, do you think that the road has been nice so far with Do you think that it is going to remain like this? What are the challenges for the BJP in your view? Final comments.
One, of course, is a major challenge because this entire NIHIDCL is based on JICA, Japanese loan. How that loan will be repaid will remain as a major point of challenge for the states like Assam or Meghalaya or Nagaland. So it has to be built on the national resources, not on loan. That is one big challenge that has come up. But I want to go back to the original discussion, which is about bringing these national leaders. Now, Himanta Biswa Sharma is one figure who can help people like Joy Panda and Samit Patra to really carve out ground for themselves, and this will also enrich BJP nationally. That's my gut feeling about bringing such leaders to northeastern region.
Okay, but you do agree that the road looks rosy, but there are a lot of challenges, isn't it, Prasenjit?
Economic challenges, because it's entirely based on a Japanese loan. Who is going to repay the loan? The toll gates are asking exorbitant prices.
Road is not the only issue. There are a lot of other issues.
Yeah, road is maintained.
Nobody can be complacent. No party can afford to be complacent, especially if the people have reposed their faith and trust. The people will also expect the party or the government to deliver. On that note, I end this edition of Notice Tonight. I thank all my panelists for participating in the show and the viewers for watching the program. Good night and goodbye.